What's wrong with you, stupido? Welcome back, everybody, to the Dead Film Critics Society podcast. As you can see, we have another guest. And if you're wondering why he looks like me, it's because he's my dad. My dad, his name is Brian. For those
Hello.
of you who are curious at all.
Papa
Yeah,
Egg in the house. Woo! Nice.
sure, yeah. So my first hypothetical, since we're talking about a
Yes.
movie about running, Chariots of Fire, is what do you guys think the world would be like if everyone ran at like 100 kilometers an hour? Like, what big things do you think would change? Maybe like, Dad, how do you think? Because like my theory is like if everyone runs like an average around 100 kilometers an hour, there's some people who run a little faster, like at 104, and those are the people who are considered like the fastest people in the world, right? For like track and stuff. But then it's like also, what do you think? I don't know. Well, what's something that like you think if you could run that fast would impact your daily life, kind of thing?
Well, we wouldn't need cars.
It's true.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
You're down to planes, and
Trains probably for other distances. Well, like high speed rail, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
roads
Yeah.
would be softer because we'd be running on them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So would sidewalks, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be more like a sport court.
They would need a
Just that
new
there's
like
basketball.
system for I guess like human traffic.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Maybe instead of highways, there'd be like these big elevated like pedestrian bridges or something everywhere. Yeah. I don't know. Could be cool. I guess. Yeah.
People
Do you
be wearing
think
armor. Yeah.
like do you think they would what would be a good solution if they extended the track, like if they like for like running events, if they like made the tracks longer or they just had super like fast cameras to be able to capture them like doing it in real time, just like keep it at 100 meter, even though like 100 meter like make it longer. I
No,
don't know.
it'd be similar. It'd be closer to car tracks, so
Right,
everybody can see them move around.
right.
Oh yeah, like the Daytona 500 basically, but for
But
people.
for people,
Yeah. Yeah,
get
that's
like
cool.
No.
NASCAR slapped on them, have all the like basically their uniforms come exactly like soccer uniforms, just covering like the whole body,
Yeah.
basically. It's like I
Yeah.
feel like soccer kits, as they call them, are notorious for always having advertisements on the front.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe if they what if they wore like like the outfits that speed skaters wear? Maybe they'd have something like that on with advertisements. I
Hmm.
mean, just to be more aerodynamic.
Do you
Yeah.
think how much do you think it would translate to swimming? Do you think the fact that we have greater leg power to run that fast would like make
Yeah.
swimming events that much faster?
I think we'd be able to swim pretty fast. Yeah. Yeah.
Legs are your biggest muscles. Of course,
Yeah,
they would.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, could your arms keep up?
Yeah, that's a good question
Just
actually.
leave your arms behind.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. You have to like
Yeah,
put a
every day
single
would
like
be
you have
leg day.
this like you have to have
Honestly.
like a certain strap thing to keep your legs sent like your core and everything strapped to your legs so that they
Mm.
can go with you. It's like, but do you think everyone would just get a concussion from running that fast when they stop? Like, or they'd have to learn how to like stop over a period of time like you do with the car. Otherwise, it's like a car it would just jolt like you just jolt forward, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's like you get whiplash.
Yeah. Before I said that was like then later one of the new technologies would be armor earlier because you don't want to crash into someone at that
Right.
speed. If we still had the same type of body, we kill each other
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
at
Yeah.
100 kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So armor would be produced more, faster,
Mm.
to try to prevent those collisions from being fatal.
That's a good point. No, that makes a good point actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Cool.
Do you think it would be like even worse for like people who can't walk? Because then like everyone else is zooming around while they're like, or do you think there would be like a real focus to like improve wheelchair technology or something? Or do you think the
Maybe
fact
that could be it. Yeah. Because right now, like wheelchairs, they kind of move at relatively the same speed as like someone just walking, right? So I mean,
yeah
yeah.
they can
So
for
maybe that's
sure
what they would do. They would just engineer to be able to catch up to someone who's running that fast,
yeah
or at least relative to their speed. Not like all the way there, but yeah,
yeah
yeah.
interesting. Do you think then? I guess all the like Amazon and like Uber deliveries would be done by like hand. Does everyone just running?
That's a good point. But the one thing, like, I don't know, the one thing I think we're forgetting here is that maybe cars wouldn't go away though, because like running like that fast, you get pretty sweaty, no matter how in shape you are, right? So I don't know if
Right.
people would want to be sweaty like all the time. So I mean, there would probably still be a need for that sort of stuff.
True. I mean,
Yep.
like
Yeah,
even if
So yeah,
sometimes even if it's a short distance, like a walkable distance, people still drive because like they don't want to be sweaty. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
depends
All
on the
right.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the culture. Is sweating acceptable or not?
Considering
If it's
everyone's like running so fast.
Okay, but like, what if you're on your way to like a fancy ballroom party or like a black tie event at a government facility? Then like, I don't know if you'd want to be sweaty going in there, right?
But
So
like, what if everyone is?
okay, but like, I don't
Like,
know.
what if that just becomes? I mean,
Showers on in every building. There you
just
go.
like
That's the way
speed
to solve it.
showers.
Yeah.
Just like as soon as you enter the building, just like an automatic detection thing, just gives you a quick like rinse. Kind of
Yeah.
becomes the new thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a
Exactly.
car wash, except for people.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
That's a good alternative.
All
Yeah.
right. I think we've had enough time talking
That's all
about
right.
this.
This has been my favorite one so far. So
Yeah,
let's move
it's
on.
been a
Then.
little fun,
Yeah.
but I think we can move on. We're gonna do a tier list. We're gonna do a sport one. So there's way too many sports on this list. We'll only do
Yes.
like a few of them.
Okay.
We'll do the ones we're most interested in / ones we want to, because like we can, the point of a tier list is sometimes we can not be so nice to a sport.
Yeah.
That we think is
This might be our most subjective tier list yet because like
True.
everyone likes different sports. It's
That's
gonna be.
also true.
We're definitely gonna get people who will severely disagree with us on this
Yeah.
one. But yeah.
All
it's
right.
fine.
Let me go ahead and share that.
All right. Cool. 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 Okay. Watch stream. Okay. Oh no, it's doing that thing again where it's taking forever to
Yeah.
load.
I have that on my side. Okay, there it is. Should be better, a little better now.
All right.
All right, everybody. Daniel's chosen the wrong tab here on Google Meet.
Oh, there we go.
All right, let's get the presentation mode.
I'm loving the headset, by the way. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he uses for classes a good amount of the time.
Very stylish. I
Um,
like it. Good.
All right, as you can see, there are a lot of sports here.
Oh my god, you put a
Um,
Rubik's cube?
I didn't. Whoever made this.
Oh no,
this
actually,
isn't-
that's
this
fair.
is
You
not
didn't
made
make
by
this,
me.
but
Just
how is a
to clarify.
Rubik's cube a sport though?
Okay,
How's
Amos-
solving that a sport?
I
you
mean,
know?
I guess it's the same sort. Like, there's competitions for it, right? It's like
Yeah, I know,
it's
but
almost
that just means it's more of an activity, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I feel like is it that it can be very similar to chess if you're like specifically going up against a person, right?
yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, no, those things
Not
are.
that I think it's like I don't know. It's like yeah. I mean,
Oh, I see. There's actually a tab for that. It says not a sport in your opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah, there we go.
so
easy.
if you want to, I think poker should be thrown.
Yeah,
in
no,
'cause that's just
definitely.
gambling. There's a difference between
Yeah.
sports and gambling.
Yeah.
We can. I think we can throw what we consider
People gamble on
non-sports in.
football.
It's true, but they're not playing it. Gambling on football is not a sport, Dad. Playing it is. That's different, right?
Seeing what your definitions are.
Axe throwing.
That was a tricky one, actually. Yeah, no, that's
It's like
a very tricky one.
I'd say
because
if
it's
you-
definitely physically
'cause
taxing.
I think it's
especially if
the
you have a big
same
axe.
argument for like archery. If you think archery's a sport, you should probably think axe throwing's a sport. Just like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think-
I feel like if you
yeah.
consider chess a sport, there's probably a good argument for Rubik's cube. Even though Rubik's cube naturally is
Yeah.
just a less of a going up against another person. It's something you can like do by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And the nature of it is like, I think most of the time they don't necessarily go up against each other. They just take turns trying to get the fastest time. They don't do like have them solve at the same time. So there are differences.
Yeah, well, if you want to go the same route as archery, then yeah, I'd say axe throwing could definitely be a sport.
I just
yeah.
don't know if I really consider archery.
It's not a good sport. I think it's like maybe F or D. It's definitely not the best one out there.
Yeah, I
but
feel like F is kind of harsh. I guess I give this F and I give like archery D.
yeah, okay.
potentially.
Oh wait, I see an Aussie rules football. We gotta go there. Yes, all the way up, baby. Let's go. A.
A.
Actually, no, S.
S.
I gotta.
mean, I don't.
Otherwise,
I really can't knock
otherwise
it. I
my
haven't
dad will
tried
get
it.
mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too regional.
All right. Oh no, this is
Should be
okay.
A.
Curling.
No, they have a league here in Canada. They do. There's one in Ontario. They play it all the time. It's great. It's good stuff. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
a very hard sport though.
Here, hey, Dad.
Yes, it is, but
Speaking of
professionally
regional
is A.
sports, Dad. Well, actually, technically it's an Olympic one, but it is pretty regional. Curling.
Mm. Curling. Oh.
No higher than B.
No higher. Oh,
Yeah, like I agree
yeah.
with him actually. Yeah, it's not
I
the
mean,
hardest.
like,
So
I
I
mean-
can put
Actually,
a lot of weight on
would know what
regionality.
curling is. Like you play curling. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
like my dad had spent some time coaching a little. What did he do again, Dad?
I've
Forget.
played
You played some.
curling in a league
Oh.
where everybody else was older than me because it was supposed to be teachers' league, but it's almost all retired teachers. And so like I was the youngest one in there, and I've coached a little bit. And the couple of times I've gone on the same ice as Daniel, yeah, just take a rock, throw it. Let's see if I can still throw center button weight, and I'm pretty close to it.
I kind of
Just
want
throw
to put
there.
this in B. It's a fun. It's a good sport. I think. It's, you know, I like. It's definitely unique, and like,
Yeah,
there's a good amount
that's
of
fair.
skill required in lot. And it's also like one of the things I was thinking about is how all these sports have some sort of objective, like qualifier, something that puts people above each other.
Yeah.
In certain things, while
Yeah.
something like this is, I'm pretty sure this is bodybuilding. I
Yeah.
think this is more subjective for sure.
Yeah,
It's like-
I think in many ways, like considering how physically straining
Unless
it is,
there's
I think,
like a
yeah.
specific criteria, like
yeah, you know,
same
but
Athletic,
with
but not a sport.
dog shows here.
yeah, dog show's not really a sport. Yeah,
I'd say that.
Dogs
Um,
athletic, but not a sport. I am
Yeah.
going to step out for a sec just to close the door.
Okay.
all right,
Um,
no worries.
I can't tell what shooting.
That's hunting.
That's
I don't think that's a sport.
This
It's just killing animals because you're bored. Honestly,
yeah, and I guess
And not
how
even
good
eating
you
it half the
are
time, just
at
getting
that. I feel
stuffed.
like, yeah,
yeah.
I feel like that can be subjective as well. American
Yeah, okay.
Ninja Warrior / like obstacle.
Well, that's really difficult to do.
It
Those people are fucking impressive, honestly. Yeah.
I
I'd put
mean,
that like C or B to be honest. You know, just because it's like it's not exactly a sport. It's more of just a athletic competition, but it's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
for sure.
Yeah.
I do think what kind of makes me like think it's maybe a little lesser is because of how more subjective it is. It all depends on the type of obstacle because it varies too much in that sport compared to other sports where it's a very clear criteria for how
that's true.
the sport works, while this one changes up a lot more than others. That's why.
The other ones that are judging that
Yeah.
that we put in not your sport, they don't have the same kind of criteria as figure skating does, and you score points by you did the actual jump, you get points.
Yeah.
Much more than the subjectivity of like, hey, how big are those deltoids?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Move on.
Esports.
Ooh, I don't think that's really a sport. To be
I-
honest. As much as I love playing video games, I cannot say it's a sport.
I
It's
would-
a good competition. I don't think it's a sport though.
I mean,
you know, anyone can
I guess-
get really good at video games if you play enough, right?
I
Like,
don't know if
it's-
that's true though. I think
not
there are
hard,
a lot of
man.
human quantities that like not anyone can just like there are people who play video games like forever and forever and they'll still be way worse than like the best people who pick it up in like a month.
yeah, but that all depends on how much you actually play. I mean, like, because some of these guys are playing like all day, every day, right? They're not just doing like an hour or two a day. They're doing that
Right.
like pretty much all the
But
all.
from knowing like from following esports, I've seen people who like pick up the game by only playing like a few hours a day for like a month versus people who've like played the game like nonstop, almost like 24/7. They're like some of the people who played way less can still be way better, like by a good margin. So like, I feel like there's definitely human quantities that like play into this, and
I don't think it's like I don't know.
there's
Okay,
definitely
fine.
objective measures to it. You know,
Okay,
it's like-
if we're gonna put it in anything, I'd be comfortable putting it at C or D. To
I
be
think
honest.
C. I think
All right,
C is
fine.
fair.
Okay, basketball is in there as well. We got to get that
Yeah.
all the way up, baby. S. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Esports would
I
have been
do
D.
think one of my gripes with basketball, even though I like it a lot personally, is the restrictive nature of it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of foul calls, I get it.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
pretty small court, especially when you're playing with like tall people, and also just being tall naturally is like way too. I feel like it's in so many situations way too much of an asset. Just naturally that it's not necessarily because of how like talented you are. Just you being tall.
Yeah, but like now with the
makes it
rise of like the
easier.
3-point shot, anybody can like step on the court and dominate. Like, Steph Curry, he's like
For
the same
sure.
height as me pretty much, and that guy drops like 32 a game. So it's not as much about height as it used to be. I do think height is a big factor, but I
Yeah.
think, it's less of a factor than it was. So,
Maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
I'd say for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But there's also I think been more taller people also going to league, like
Yeah.
just like in general. I think
Yeah, but
as
even
well.
so, I mean, I can see a guy who's like below average height, like Isaiah Thomas. You remember a couple of years ago, he was
Yeah.
dropping like 29 a game. So it is possible. You don't have
For
to be super
sure.
tall to dominate.
But
Yeah.
I think obviously if Isaiah Thomas was taller, he'd probably be a more dominant player than he ended up being, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like
Still
injuries
is, right?
ruined his career, unfortunately.
That
But
too.
oh, I see lacrosse in there. I might have
Lacrosse.
to do my brother a solid and put it at S as well. Right,
I
it's right
don't
by the
think so.
luge.
Where is it?
No, wait, over. It's closer to rugby. You were almost there. Up. No, that row. No, wait, no, down. One more.
Down.
Down. Now keep going to
So
the.
okay, here it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'd be
I
fine
don't-
putting an SRA, to be honest.
And
Yeah, but
You
The
think
it's a
lacrosse, right?
tricky. It's a tricky sport. Yeah.
especially field lacrosse, a lot more cardio there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I see how like much these guys run. It's crazy. I mean, like even just being a defender, like you gotta carry around this huge stick, and just try and stop people. And then even keeping the ball in your stick while you're running up and down the field is like challenging enough. So I mean, it's not like it's an easy sport. I mean, I've tried to pick it up and play catch with my brother, but it's so hard. I can't figure it out right now. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel like, so I guess we're trying to approach them based on how tough they are, kind of, it feels like.
sorry, is that Gladiator?
That
Why is Gladiator in there?
there. So I guess they're throwing in gladiator fights. And I mean, there can be an objective, like, it can be a sport, I think.
Yeah.
And it can be a very challenging sport. It's not a very
Yeah,
ethical
because
one,
if
for
you
sure.
fail, you're dead,
Yeah,
basically.
it's not a very not ethical sport.
Yeah, there's like no room for margin. There's no margin of error there. Yeah.
So I'll put it with archery since it's target.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of in that nature. I do
Yeah, that's
think it's
good.
probably harder than even like Ninja Warrior or type things. It's like,
Because your life depends on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically there's a reason why it was like so popular when it was, right? Even though obviously there's like when you ignore the clear morality and the fact that you're killing people through this, it's a very entertaining and challenging sport, right?
Oh yeah, for sure,
So I
totally.
feel
So
like
many,
just
so
to
many slaves, too little
it's
time.
like exactly. It's
Oh
like
my god.
can we put it in B?
So
I feel like it's like
Yeah.
I obviously I think we should hold it back just because there's obviously nature of it. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be allowed, but
yeah.
there's
All right,
still
we
a
probably
lot
shouldn't
of
do
layers.
too many more of these because there
Yeah.
is so many here.
There is a lot.
I think boxing is a sport.
Boxing, I think is there's a clear
Yeah,
objective
it's
basis.
like it's almost like it's just modern.
Kind of-
It's just basically modern Gladiator, to be
yeah,
honest.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So saying
It's
that
kind of in
it's
that
a
same
better.
area.
I think
Drop it
it's
in, and some of those people were
there's a lot of
just as desperate.
intricacies to it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of different ways you can. I like how there's a lot of different ways you can win as a boxer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different.
Yeah, you can
methods.
be light and quick on your feet, or you can just be a brute.
Yeah,
Like
and there's a lot of ways to like try and different ways of training. It also requires a lot of different trainings, a lot of different. It's also a very interesting mental game as well. So I think A is a good
Yeah.
place.
I think we should end with dodgeball because
End
it's
with dodgeball?
the picture.
Oh, good
the
point,
picture
yeah, I
is
like that.
movie related.
Where's
where
the?
is
I don't see the picture. Where is it?
I don't see
Um,
it. Kickball
Ben
though.
Stiller.
Let's put
Ben Still-
kickball and S real quick.
All right, fair.
Honestly.
Second row,
This
second
row.
row, fourth to the right. Yep.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Yeah, no, it's White
Fourth to the
Goodman.
right.
This.
There you go.
This is a movie.
You've never seen Dodgeball?
Definitely have not.
What?
No.
Oh,
Ah,
I have that on Blu-ray. I should lend it to you
What?
sometime.
I guess so.
what bad comedy you have missed out on.
Oh,
Ben
my-
Stiller going over the top as the villain.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Fantastic stuff. I don't know. It's such a funny movie, but I can't believe you haven't seen it, dude. Please watch it soon. That's a tricky one though. I mean, it's not too hard to learn dodgeball. I mean, there's not much of a learning curve.
I
You
do
know?
think like there's like the difference between like it can obviously at the highest level I think can be a very intense and challenging sport.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
I think obviously it has one of the easiest learning curves, but that like sometimes I think making a sport accessible sometimes can obviously be one of the reasons it can become a low tier sport, right?
Yeah.
It's like if it's too difficult that no one wants to play it, then who are you going to compete against?
See,
Yeah. No,
then,
fair.
then go see.
C or
Esports, highly accessible, but not everybody can play it well.
true.
All right.
I think in some ways it is like I think certain esports can definitely have a higher learning curve, depending.
All right. So
Yeah,
is
I
that
think
it
we're
then,
good.
or do you want
Well,
to keep
maybe
going?
try
Do
to
you wanna
cover
go
some
more?
of the other basic like.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough.
Like
Yeah, let's do
soccer.
Yeah, soccer is definitely a sport, and there's no
think-
question about that.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, it's a
I
good
think
sport.
it's pretty high up. I think it's probably around like it for being so universal, so easy. Still having
Yeah.
easy high skill caps. Very
Oh
one of the
yeah,
most
no, anybody can
team-oriented
like
sports, right? Like
yeah, it's one of
especially at
the
the highest
cheapest
levels.
sports to play. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think low. Yeah, I think S.
Yeah,
It's
no,
deserved.
I'd be fine with that.
Baseball slash softball. I don't know if this is supposed to.
No, that's just
That's
softball.
just
There's
softball.
baseball. There's baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, there you go. It's
I
a,
don't
it's a
know.
sport, that's for
It's a
sure, but it's
sport.
not the most challenging
I
sport. I
do-
mean, like aside from hitting the ball, that's probably the most challenging
You know,
part. Just
I
how fast
think
somebody has
honestly,
to throw.
baseball has a decent amount. I think C is a good place because I think
Yeah.
in some ways it has a decent amount related to like esports because it's a lot about hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
It's like one of the big parts, and then obviously there's like throwing strength, but that's like another
yeah.
element of it. It's like so maybe it makes it a little above that, especially in athleticism for sure. But still definitely
There's
lower
American
than,
football up there if you want to grab that, or Canadian football, I guess, because we're in Canada. So
yeah.
definitely a sport. Very hard on the body, though. My God.
Yeah,
Jesus.
and like
Gladiator, like
it is one of the more gladiator-like sports for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's another like soccer. It has a lot of good like team elements to it. It's very much a team-oriented game.
Yeah.
B or
Yeah,
A.
everybody has a role that they stick to, pretty much. So there's not a lot of room for freestyling like there is for like basketball or something
For
like
sure,
that.
but
or
then
soccer.
they still can have like standouts for sure, like basketball.
Oh
is,
yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
has almost the same amount of star. Well, I don't think the same amount of stars, but a good amount of stars for sure.
Yeah.
Certain positions end up becoming the most important.
Okay,
What do you think?
make a decision, Daniel, because
I don't
you
know.
are taking longer than a school awards
All right,
debate.
we'll just put in
All right.
B, I guess, beside gladiator.
Okay, one more, and then I think we
We'll
should
do
move
last one. Let's do.
on. I see rugby.
We can do rugby. I don't think I haven't played it before though.
I played rugby. It's pretty challenging. My brother's played that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sport.
Also, my friend Eric, who plays it, would want me to put it high up.
B or A.
I think A.
All right, yeah,
I'll
I'm
do
cool
A.
with that.
All right.
Good choice. All right, cool.
Alright, it's been a pretty fun tier list. Maybe we'll continue this one time because there's still a lot of other sports we
Oh my
can cover.
God, yeah,
for
Jesus.
Sure. Let's go ahead and move on.
Oh.
All right. Let me change the display real quick.
Of course, Daniel has me on his laptop, so it's appropriate that I have the least amount of resolution because I'm older.
That's good. That's yeah. You didn't even need to get a ring light like I did. That's the only reason why I look so suave right now. So, yeah, that's good. Okay. So which one are we gonna talk about first?
I'm still trying to set this. Like this tab is not cooperating.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because you owe too much on the tab.
You're just forcing at this point, Dad.
Hey, of course I'm forcing it.
Oh wait, I just got it.
That
Yeah,
joke.
okay.
That
There we
joke's
go.
it.
All right.
Okay, that's fine.
I think we'll go ahead and start with Luca. I think.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's a
Start
sweet
with.
film. I don't have too much to say about it, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So Luca is a 2021 film directed by Enrico. His last name starts with a C. I should have quickly check this before we started talking about it, but
That's okay.
Casa Rosa,
There you
starring
go.
Jacob Tremblay, Jack Dylan Grazer, Emma Berman, Maya Rudolph, and Sacha Baron Cohen. In fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. Anyways, so what do you guys what do you think of it? What do you think of it, Aiden? What do you guys think of it?
Well, the guest is here. I think he
Yeah, of
should.
course. Yeah, we can do
What
that.
do you have to say about it?
Usual sort of Pixar Disney fare.
Yeah.
Um, nothing nothing too dramatic. You know, it's
Yeah.
about somebody who's an outsider, bring him trying to fit in. Uh, the usual themes of diversity and connection, getting people unified
Yep.
under. You have the usual villain. This time, the villain's just looks like he's 20, acting 20, 21, acting 16, trying to pretend to be 16 again,
Mm. Yeah.
and just yeah, there wasn't anything majorly up or down about it compared to previous
Some other
Disney
Pixar
films.
films.
Yeah.
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 No, I'd have to agree. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say this is an average film because I definitely did enjoy it. It's just like there's really nothing I can say about it. Like it's good in a lot of aspects, but
Yeah.
nothing really stands out for me. I think the voice acting is pretty cool. You know, I thought
Yeah, I
it
think
was
that's
interesting when
well done.
Sacha Baron Cohen came in. He kind of changed the whole vibe of the film for a few scenes there. But I mean, yeah, I also like the plug that the Vespa company kept getting. That must get them a lot of money. So good for them.
Yeah.
Make that money.
I
But
was joking.
yeah.
This was just one of the best Vespa commercials ever made. The best Vespa commercial ever made.
Yeah, no, like
Um,
seriously, it's good promotional material.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely good.
Just like
Yeah,
the Lego
I mean,
movie. Lego movie still holds the best
oh yeah,
commercial
that is
ever.
the best ad ever,
Best ad
honestly.
ever.
Yeah,
This is pretty close. This is good. This is up there for one of the best ads.
yeah,
Cinematic ads.
yeah.
Like I
The
said,
animation was
yeah,
really
I
good as
agree
well.
with what you guys say. It's just a fun
Yeah,
movie. It's well directed. We're getting
yep,
more lighting here because the sun is going down, so that will
yep.
help.
There it
There
is.
we go. You're more clear now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a well directed movie. The writing at some points I think is I think there's a couple beats that work really well. For the
Yep.
most part, it's just like normal Pixar jam.
Yeah.
Very standard kind of plot. I do like the fact that Pixar is maybe going for a more casual kind of film, one that's like not trying to. I think,
Rip your heart out.
yeah, the one
Yeah.
that like there's I think this one like I think I like how even though obviously some of those films like where they're trying to really get at your heartstrings can be very good. I kind of like
Yeah.
that they made a solid film that's just kind of more about the vibes than it is about the character arc of and then the moment where they realize something and then they make you cry kind of thing.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was trying to go for that kind of checklist.
No, and that was nice. This is probably the first Pixar movie in a while. I haven't had to bring a box of tissues with me, just in case. It was nice. It was just something I could turn on and casually check my phone if I had to. Nothing I had to be super invested in to remember the plot. So yeah, it was good. It was all good there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think honestly, I got a little more emotional at this movie than I did Soul. I'm not gonna lie. I
What?
do think, yeah.
Oh
So
my.
yeah, okay. And here, like, I really like. I think the writing, like, for me personally, I really like that moment when Alberto is like showing who he is, that he's a sea monster, and then Luca just basically just tries to pretend he doesn't know him, and it's like the falling of that friendship happening made me like I didn't cry. It made me sad more than Soul did personally, because like I feel even like obviously that kind of like sort of fallout has happened before. I think it was pretty well done. I think Soul's kind of like emotional beat where it's like he realizes that it wasn't all about that like one jazz performance, and like I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's some point where people more understand that kind of idea in Soul a little earlier. While I feel like this kind of relationship feels like it can happen more throughout your life, right? Like at some point in your life, you're gonna realize that it can't all be about like one thing or two things, like to fulfill your life. While
Yeah.
like having like I feel like having fallouts in relationships can be something that just lasts throughout your pretty much your entire life. And that's another
Yeah.
reason I like The Social Network so much, is because like that friendship falling apart and how it's written, like that's one of the things that really clicks with me in that film. I think this is really well done, and I think
Yeah.
this one is too. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was a pretty good moment. I
Yeah.
do think
I mean,
Soul is better directed, has better ideas overall, a
I
little more
think it has better
entertaining,
animation as
definitely
well.
better
I'm not saying the
comedy.
animation in
I
this is
think the
bad.
animation, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Dad. As like, you saw Soul. I don't know how much you like can think about like compare them because like it's
Yeah,
usually done
I get what
considering
you're
it's like
saying.
yeah
I get what you're saying, and it's now it makes me wonder how many relationships we're talking about here, in your experience that make you feel that way. Which means maybe we need more son-father talks. But
Oh
that's
my
another story.
god. You just
you know
exposed yourself, sir. Oh man.
it can, I said relationship, it can be friends. You guys are friends in
Yeah.
this movie,
Yes, it could be.
yeah.
It could.
Yeah. Everyone knows that's what Daniel's
Maybe
talking
me and
about.
Aiden are about to have a big fight and never be friends again. Who knows? It could happen
Oh
at
my
any
god,
moment.
yeah. Because I have so many things I need to tell you that I don't like about you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
of
need
course, of
to
course.
you need to
You
show
need,
that you're a sea monster. I need to be like, nah, I don't know you, man.
what the
um
education system calls it, challenging conversations.
Yeah,
yes.
You guys need those challenging conversations. Hash
exactly.
it
Yeah.
out so you can get back on the same page instead of
Yeah.
pretending to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think the ending's pretty nice if it's like,
Yeah.
the whole reveal is like, oh, there's also like the grandmother and like someone else who looks like your friend at the end being like, oh, there's another first person. It's like, I'm trying to remember. It clicked. It reminded me of something that I cannot remember. What was it? Oh, Milk. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the moment. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Milk, of that moment when Harvey's is talking about how if he stands up for like the gay community and like shows that like people across the country that there's a group that aren't afraid to be themselves, that like others across the country will be able to be themselves. Obviously, that's said in real life, but I think you see the correlation, right? And you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
no,
about.
I see exactly what you're saying. You're calling gay people fishy bitches. No, I'm just joking.
Whoa, that's not what I meant at all.
No, it's okay. I get
Yeah.
what you mean. I get what you mean. Obviously, it's not exactly the same thing,
It's
but
definitely not
yeah,
the
the
same thing, but
story
it
beat is
has
pretty
yeah, it's
similar.
like the same idea,
Same feel.
right?
Yeah.
Different people,
I
different
can't believe you just
different worlds.
compared Milk to a movie
Look,
about
that's
fish
what
monsters.
like I think Pixar in a lot of ways is trying to do what films like Milk and like I remember how I talked about how Soul was a little bit like trying to do what Zero Dark 30 did. It's like Pixar has mature writers that are trying to fit these types of themes into these
Mm.
kids movies, and that's one of the reasons I like really respect them. Even if like I feel like people sometimes, right, like obviously I do think sometimes, even though people still enjoy these movies, they still write them off too much sometimes as kids films, right? I
Yeah.
think, and obviously they have weaknesses as films, but I think there's some stuff like just how similar sometimes their story beats are. It's like I like Soul probably the most out of the films I just mentioned. I think
Yeah.
Luca, Zero Dark 30, and what was the Milk, I probably like around the same
It's a weird
personally.
collection of films,
It
man.
is a
Honestly.
weird collection of films, but like
Like,
you see how they have like similar character beats, and it's like,
yeah.
and that's what one of the things I respect about Pixar writers. They're clearly going for something, even if like in a kids movie setting it can't be taken as seriously. I think there's still something to be said for it.
Yeah.
I like how this movie is more about the friendships and the pretty simple, nice little tucked away village world than it in like the underwater one isn't explored that much, but just like that night, the geography is very clear in this film, right? It's a very
Yeah.
simple, nice little film. Doesn't like take you on this whole journey to try to like confuse. Like that's like films like Soul often have to like sort of like, and I think that's like what certain shows sometimes do. Like I think even something like Breaking Bad, it's like they have to drag through all the plot and like keep you with these characters. And obviously characters like Walter White and stuff are very entertaining. I think these characters are very
Yeah.
likable. They bring you through that only to like and like also the characters in Soul, like the whole thing with the cat. It's entertaining, right? Just to hit you with that like moment where you're like, "Oh, this is awesome," or "This is really sad," or et cetera, et cetera. And this film doesn't really go for that, and that's something I like kind of appreciate about this film.
Yeah.
Um, I like some of the details. It's like some of the fish puns, while they're corny, are kind of funny. It's like when he says "what the carp." I remember my mom noticed that and laughed at it because we all watched it.
But of
And
course.
then like Luca having like the normal thing where they'd have like when you hit your head you have ducks above it. It's the normal gag, but he has fishes above his head
Yeah.
instead.
I also
Like
like how like those other fish were like sheep and they made the sheep noises. That was kind of
yeah,
strange, but
it
it was fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like which also kind of led me to the question like what do they do with fish if they're like sheep? If they treat them like sheep, what do they do with them?
They take their scales and make
Yeah,
clothes
see,
out of them.
yeah, that's what they like. I think who brought that up? Dad, someone brought that up while we were watching it. Was it Jordan
Probably.
or
It's probably
Mom?
Jordan.
It was probably Jordan.
Of course, it was Jordan.
Knowing Jordan.
And
Knowing
I was
Jordan's Jordan.
like, I was thinking a little bit like they did like, what another part that's sort of related to that is how the dad character, even though it's clear he's like a fisherman and like he's clearly chopping those heads off for a purpose, it's like he never ended up serving fish, like because obviously it would be kind of awkward to see these fish people with
Cannibalize their own
but
their own
is that
kind.
but is that are they really the same species though?
I mean, they're
It's
related.
like how like they're yeah, sure.
Actually, no, that's true. No,
yeah,
it's
like
fair because we
it's
eat
like
other
how,
mammals.
Yeah, we eat other mammals.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's just like
no,
how
no,
sharks
that-
are technically the same species as fish, or like whales. They eat fish, right? It's like same.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that's a similar idea. Even
Maybe
though
they're
obviously that
vegan.
would be weird. I don't think that's like obviously I don't think they're necessarily beyond that. And I feel like they probably had more meals than they showed on screen in theory. And the fact that they keep them as sheep makes me think that they might eat them. It's just like,
Yeah, it's cool.
it
You
would
know,
be
everyone likes
weird
to get a
have in a
lamb every
kids
now and
film,
again.
but
you
it's
know?
like
Or
they
mutton.
definitely don't
Yeah.
close off that possibility.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe they made fish haggis or something like that. You know?
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the acceptance of like accepting different people is done pretty okay. It's pretty well. I do think it's wrapped up a bit easy at this time. It's like all of a sudden when he's like a couple more people revealed, like the whole town that was clearly very anti sea monster, anti fish, is all of a sudden pretty turned around. It makes sense for the dad being that he like got to know the boys, but like even in this small town, I can't imagine like there's so much time off screen where Alberto and Luca are known by everyone, so like they're now, like once they know they're sea monsters is not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I do think like the more villain part, he's maybe like the worst part of the film. I think personally, he's definitely the weakest character. I think in my opinion, he's pretty like he doesn't do much. Like he's pretty like he's pretty ridiculous in Italian. It works well.
Oh yeah,
enough.
very
It's, like,
Italian.
yeah. He doesn't really have any like good like well written motivations beyond he just wants to win the race or kill the sea monster, and it sort of flip flops in between. Very simple, classic Hollywood bully type of character that we've seen a lot, but just more Italian.
But I think for the story that it was, I think having it like a more like grandiose villain doesn't really work. I think it was kind of just perfect for what the story was. It's kind of like just a not like a huge.
Like I think there could have been like just like how Luca has a little bit like the dad. And like how Alberto has a little more complicated background with his dad, how Luca has that relationship with his parents. I think in like how Julia has that relationship with her dad and just wanting to, and like that kind of thing. I think a little more could have been added to him as a villain, considering how much screen time and how feels like he's pretty integral to the plot, even though this film doesn't have that much. And I think it works. And I like the issue with Alberto with his dad and how his dad left adds to why Alberto gets more jealous and like untrustworthy of Luca when he starts to become friends more with Julia, because he's worried that like this one friend that he's made since his dad left will like also kind of leave him too. So like that clear like sign makes it like that's one of the other reasons why I felt like that emotional beat of where Luca tries to pawn off like Alberto is like someone he doesn't know is like a pretty well done moment. Overall.
Yeah, because it's like all of his fears and insecurities have like come real. And I think we can all relate to that. At least at some point we've maybe felt like worried that someone new that we've met in our life is gonna eventually just leave. I think that's kind of a universal feeling that some of us can have. But yeah, maybe more me than you. I don't know. I don't know what your situation is like, man. But that's what I got out of it. So it was that was definitely a cool thing. But I didn't get that emotional while watching it. It was just
Yeah. I mean, I do think, again, I think it's more emotional than Soul, as hot take as that might be. It was for me.
Trying
It's
not
like,
to freak out here.
yeah.
Watch your
I
tongue,
mean,
sir.
I'm fine with you freaking out. That's the point of this
Ah,
podcast.
don't do it! Come on, man! Don't make me. Come on! Why are
I'm
you doing
baiting
it?
you on purpose. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I
get
know
more
you're
emotional
baiting me to get
reactions
more
out of
views.
you.
You're baiting me for views. Yo. Yeah.
Social network equals Luca.
Luca over Soul.
And apparently Soul
Motion.
equals 0 Dark 30.
Soul is like Zero Dark 30. Luca like Milk. Luca's also like the Social Network.
Yeah.
Luca, Milk plus the Social Network equals Luca.
As
My
we try to
goodness. All right.
find baiting titles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before this gets out of hand, let's just give this film a score, man. Like,
Yeah.
what would?
Again, as you said, voice acting very good.
Yeah,
I think
very
the
good
music's
stuff.
also solid,
Yeah.
and also the dad's very reminiscent of the one from like A Cloudy with Chance of Meatballs. I don't know if you thought of that during the film.
No, I was actually thinking
Remember
that. Yeah,
that?
because he has the huge ass eyebrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big eyebrows. So I
Yeah.
think yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, as far as
Yeah.
we can go ahead and go do scores. So Dad, I don't know if I told you this. For every film, we just rate them out of 10 real quick, just to summarize our thoughts into a
Yes.
numerical.
And to our usual argument, are halves allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I put halves. He
He's
doesn't
some
like to
halves.
put halves because he's
Yeah.
weird. But yeah, you can put halves
I'm
if you
not
want.
weird.
You can even put quarters if you want to. Let's just make it interesting.
He's done. So we did this thing. We were rating chicken sandwiches, and he'd do like every decimal, like from 0.1 to 0.9, just to
Not.
trigger me and my brother.
No, that was no. Once I triggered you with the halves, that's when I started exaggerating.
Yeah,
Because
I
for the heck
wasn't
of
that like. It sort of threw off the scoring because all of a sudden the averages were like 0.7 or 0.833, and I wasn't happy with that. But anyways,
And
as far as
Daniel wants to be made whole.
yeah, I do. I want things holy. Anyways, for the score,
Donut holy?
I'm gonna give this film a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 to Luca.
Yeah.
That's my
I'd give it the same, to be honest, actually. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I give it a level 3. Oh, hold on, this is not education. 7 out of 10.
All right.
Oh, look at that. The
Sounds
first
like-
time I think everyone in the
yeah.
podcast has agreed. Yeah, look at that. That's
'cause I don't think
fantastic.
even us two have ever had the exact same score. Well,
I
probably.
think we did have it once.
Maybe
once.
I'll have to look
Or
back.
twice. I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
first time we've had a guess and we've all agreed on the exact same score. You
Yeah.
know, I think we were pretty close with Treasure Planet last week with Jason.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to Chariots of Fire. A
Oh, yeah.
1981 movie directed by Hugh Hudson, starring Tom Cross. And I cannot.
I think it's Ben Cross.
But yeah, it's
Ben Cross.
Sorry, when I think of a cross in film, I think of Tom Cross, the editor of Whiplash and La La Land.
I don't even know. I didn't even know who that was.
Well, now
That's
you know.
sweet that you
See,
know that.
I know. See, I look at this stuff. I've had to.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to remember.
Called networking.
Ian
yes.
Holm is one of the other.
Yes.
Is one of the other.
Yes,
actors in this
Bilbo
movie.
Baggins himself. Yeah.
And then Ian Charleson. Very
Yes.
British names. Yeah. So, anyways, Dad, what we always do before we start talking about the films that our guests recommend is we ask them why they recommended it in the first place.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do that.
Well, the 1981 film that won the Oscar for Best Picture. The two main things. One's about track and field, and I did track and field as a teenager in high school. Then, as a high school teacher, I coached track and field. So that part of the aspect of being a track and field movie and including their personal lives attracts me. Number two, the character of Eric Little, and he's a Christian who's also a runner, and decides not to run because, in his way of believing Christianity, he's not supposed to run on Sundays. In trying to keep the so-called holy day, the Sabbath, you're not supposed to work, and he considered running working or doing something. So he said, no, I'm not going to run on a Sunday. For any of his track and field meets, his rugby that he did, he was a national rugby player. So that gets played up in the movie.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a good thing about the movie. I also like how the movie tackles, the anti-Semitism surrounding, the main character of Harold Abrams. I think that was pretty good, pretty well handled as well, especially for the time the film came out. Right, this was like early '80s. I don't
Yeah.
know how many films were actually talking about this sort of stuff. I mean, what do you think about that aspect of it, Daniel?
I think it was pretty well handled. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do like. I don't think it was like it was clear. Like, it had some impact on the film. I didn't care too much about it overall. I don't think it's
Mm.
necessarily something that's fault of the film.
No,
I
it's not a
do
driving
think
force of the film, but I
I
think it just
yeah
having it in there was pretty good
yeah,
for
it was well
from.
handled. It like added more to his character. I do think
Yeah.
the sort of arc with Lindell is more well done overall, even though it's maybe a little bit. I think it's more cheesy overall, and it's also a little bit played up because my dad mentioned specifically that like the character of the sister Jeannie, she wasn't really against the idea of what's the character's name again,
Against Eric Little running.
of Little running in the
But
just in
yeah, I mean, like it's
general.
Hollywood. They're always
Yeah.
gonna play up some aspects of it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like they even I don't know, I'm just trying to remember. There was someone who one of the characters in the film like who they played dated in real life. Yeah, it was Abrams' fiance in real life actually wasn't the lady Sybil Gordon. They changed it for the film, right? So there's just a few
Mm-hmm.
retcons, I guess. Well, not really retcons, just like changes that they made to like serve the story a little bit better, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, you don't want me to get into it because me as a history teacher, of course, I've read up all on what Chariots Fire, what they've dramatized, and what is historically accurate, what they've played up because it's a movie, it's a drama, and I
Yeah.
could stretch this podcast out to 3 hours if we want to, and turns
You can go
into
into some of them though.
Oh, so
dancing
that's where
folks.
you get it from, Daniel. Okay, I see. That's sorry.
I mean, you can go into
uh,
some of them, Dad.
yeah, no, no, yeah, for sure. You're our guest. Please tell us. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, you start with you're looking for somebody who's against Eric running, and he should be focusing on ministry work. And so they chose his sister Jenny, but Jenny was a younger sister. She would never have said that to her older brother,
Hmm.
but that's the decision they made. They didn't couldn't
Yeah.
find somebody in some old fogey in ministry saying you should be working on going to China like your parents did. No, they didn't. They decided on the female uh, antagonist there in that situation. Um, they little switching from the 100 to the 400. Um, that was known weeks, months ahead of time. They knew what the Olympic schedule was. He wasn't told a week before getting onto the ship. Um, so for dramatics, it's 1 week ahead. They find out, and then dramatics. Oh, I've got a solution. As a lord and an athlete too, I've won my medal. Hey, take my spot in the 400. Problem solved. No, he retrained for the 400 instead of the 100 once he found out about the heats on a Sunday, and it also happened for the 4x1 relay. So he didn't run for the 4x1 relay team for Britain, and so he ran the 2 and the 4, and the 400 he won an Olympic record, and even more amazing, yeah, from the outside lane.
Oh,
His what's accurate visually and played up. He had an atrocious running style to what we look today, and his head actually did go up like that. He ran without really looking in his lane.
hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I don't know how anyone can run like that. It's very strange.
You can get
Very
away in
strange.
the 100, but 400, it's like, am I going to step on the lane, get myself disqualified kind of
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah.
But those are the details that I see because as a track and field coach and a historian, and I've got books on all the 100-meter. I got books that summarize the stories of all the 100-meter champions from the Olympic Games. That's just one of my things that I do. So Daniel got a basically like the coaches instead of director's commentary, he got a coach's commentary to explain stuff, why things were happening the way they were in 1924 for track and field. As a historian and picking up on English slang that was being mentioned, and he's like, "Oh, that's what it meant." Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I guess it's good. I didn't know you were a track and field coach, so it definitely helps us root out some of the more dramatic elements of this film that were made up. So thank
yeah,
you for that. Cool.
sure. I do
All right.
think this film is pretty well shot overall, especially for the
Oh
time. I
yeah,
think the camera movement feels
yeah,
pretty well done. I think the shot choices are all pretty well done. They definitely do like the slow motion and like milking all
yeah.
those like scenes is like it makes sense why because especially with like certain like especially that 100 meter I wish they had done a little more coverage than just the one shot that follows them the entire time and then cutting directly to when Abrams is looking like staring at the finish line just thinking about it in his head.
Hmm.
um, I think there was obviously a reason for that other than just trying to play up the drama because otherwise
Yeah, of
like
course.
if you just do it immediately it's just like one just 10 seconds of them running across which while is like kind of entertaining it's like at that point it's only 10 seconds of film in like a feature film they have a lot of time to cover and I'm assuming they wanted as much track and field action as possible or like a good amount because otherwise it's like not really a sports movie and
Hmm.
just conversations with like the the Prince of Wales and stuff wouldn't be enough to really carry this film overall. I think. I do. You know what? Also, this movie did kind of remind me also of The Social Network a little bit. Which is where I want to get into the yes. The score.
Sorry. What?
Yeah. Everything is The Social Network. Okay.
I don't
Um,
remember Mark Zuckerberg running in shorts. I mean,
he
oh
brought
my
he
god.
he
Man.
kind of did actually.
Well, he did a jog in jeans and a hoodie. That was
I'm pretty
that's about as
sure in the
close as I.
film, like a couple times, he's wearing only shorts in like pretty cold weather. I
I
don't know
don't
if he's
remember wearing
wearing
Well,
it.
shorts.
that will
He's
be a
definitely only
social.
wearing slides. I don't
No,
remember if that.
that was Eduardo at the fucking what's it called the Harvard party. You know, where it's like tropical night or something like that. That's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
I'm
Do you
pretty
remember
sure
that?
there's one shot of him running outside of one of the buildings at Harvard and he's walking in the snow. I'm not sure if he's wearing shorts in it. I'll double
I don't
check.
remember if he's wearing shorts now.
Um, but anyways, what the Social Network reminded me of, in correlation to this film, is the more futuristic soundtrack compared to like
Oh my
a more
god, yeah, I was waiting
traditional
for you to
athletic
talk to you.
event.
I was waiting to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the more futuristic sort of, synth kind of score going against a
Yeah.
more like obviously it was like obviously the
Against more
synth
like
sort of fit the
classical
period
classical
Social
score.
Network,
Yeah.
but this
Yeah.
particular scene is the one is like the rowing scene, where they're using the classical music, but they're doing like a synth
With an
version of it.
electronic twist,
Yeah,
yeah.
along with like the canoeing of the really old event. I don't remember what it's called in England,
It was
and
the
it's like
I don't know. It was
the
something regatta. I can't remember what.
Henry Royal Regatta or something like that.
Yeah,
The
something like
Henley,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Henley Roller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that I think that's what it reminded me of, and it's like again, I think it's better done in the Social Network, but I think this again one of the strong things about this film is that it has a good soundtrack for sure.
Oh my god, yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say that's like my favorite part of the
obviously,
movie, especially that like one track. I can't remember the exact name of it on like the soundtrack list, but like that's like probably one of the most iconic
yeah, it's
pieces of
called
a film
Chariots of
score
Fire.
ever.
It's called Chariots of
Oh,
Fire.
that's actually the name of it. Okay, well that's
Yeah,
good to know.
it is
Yeah,
one of the
okay.
most I think one of the most iconic pieces of movie music,
Yeah,
maybe just
like
ever, honestly.
yeah, like that's the only reason why I was familiar with this movie is because of that piece of music,
Hmm.
right? You know, and then of course they did something along those lines at the 2012
Yeah.
Olympics with Rowan Atkinson as well. You know, like that's
Hmm.
kind of that was my first experience with the film, and then that score. But it's also been used in so many other pieces of pop
Yeah.
culture. It's just become so synonymous with like epic moments, especially in like
Yeah.
athletic moments, right?
And it's
So.
like I feel like it's a more universal piece of music than something like Star Wars, which is probably maybe more iconic, but overall, if you use the Star Wars theme in any other movie or setting,
It's just gonna feel out of
it
place.
feel out of place. While this
Yeah, but
one
no, this could
works
work
in
with
like
anything to be
works
honest.
with so many
Yeah.
other moments, and it's like it feels like one of the original like sort of like internet meme kind of songs. It's like you could slap this on anything to try to make it epic kind of thing, and
No,
it's
that's a
like
good point
and I
actually.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the most, and like the fact that it was all original is one of the things I definitely have to compliment the composer for. He
What's
also
his name?
did,
It's Evangelist, isn't it?
yeah, he did the
Angelus, yeah.
soundtrack for Blade Runner as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, the fact
yeah.
that like, because it feels like it should be maybe a classical song that he's like making a synth version of, like they did in the Social Network. But the fact that it was original, like I think, is very impressive because I could really easily envision this being like a classical piece of music. But yeah, he did a great. It's like that's how iconic it is, and it's definitely
Oh yeah.
one of the strengths of the film. Even though I do think it's a little well, I don't know if it would be, I don't know, like knowing what it is today, I think it would probably make more sense towards like the more climax of the film rather than it being in the very beginning and the very end of the
That
film,
is true. Yeah,
right?
no, because before I saw this film, I thought that that piece of music was going to be in like the final race to like really hammer home the point that
Oh,
oh oh he's back.
I'm back. It just it froze for me. I was like looking
Oh,
at
okay.
myself. It's like I froze. So
No worries. Yeah, that's
okay.
fine. That's
All
fine.
right,
It
we're
happens
back.
sometime. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're very familiar with technical difficulties on this page. So
yeah,
yeah, but I was saying yeah no it's like yeah before seeing this film I thought that yeah that would be at the end just to really hammer home the point like of how far they've come and just like what they've accomplished. But no, I was like whereabouts in the movie was it again? I'm just trying to remember because I
yeah.
watched this like I watched Luca last night. I watched this one like I watched this one like on Sunday right when you told me about it.
Right.
So I mean yeah I'm just trying to remember. It was in the middle of the film, wasn't it?
No. So the Chariots of Fire
Oh,
theme is in the very beginning of the scene
oh
of
wait,
them
that's right. Yeah.
running on the beach, and then at the very
Yeah.
end where they kind of repeat it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But
yeah,
no, like when you first hear it though, it definitely it's not as nice the second time around, but it definitely like slaps the first time in the
yeah,
film. So
for sure.
it's a very cool scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
so so that historically the use of the synthesizer is like
Mm.
at its advent in the late 1970s, early 1980s. So yeah,
Mm.
that idea of futuristic, that's Vangelis putting it in there, putting synthesizer into what is usually classical music time music slot
Yeah.
for a movie like that. And so that's why partially it's become iconic. Um, maybe for me, maybe for disappointment, the bubbling sound for Harold Abrams' theme. So when he loses,
Yeah.
that sort of bubbling sound, that 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 hits me the most. And I think the times when I was watching with Daniel seemed to like that. Every piece of the Vangelis score seemed to really synchronize, fit really well with the scene it was showing. When it needed to be slow, when it needed to be fast.
No, that's a good point actually. Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah.
film scores that do that, yeah, those are like always the best ones. Yeah.
I do think. I think if this film were made today, I think with knowing that like how like if in retrospect, I think the director would. I think he'd definitely keep it for that opening scene, right? Because that's iconic. I do think that like often a good amount of TV shows and even like a good amount of movies will use like the same theme and like do a change on it, kind of like how Howard Shore in Lord of the Rings. It's like the first Shire theme. That one evolves over time and how he
Yeah,
created all these
exactly.
different themes for different areas, but also did one for certain characters that evolve over the course of the movie. And then by the time you get like to Return of the King, and it creates like the most epic version of like the Shire, and like the and other themes from that were
Yeah.
set in the earlier
Also like
movies, right?
what's it called?
I think they probably would have
Bloody
done that in this movie, probably
yeah, no. It
like
also kind of
done
reminds me of like the evolution of Wonder Woman's theme from like the DCEU just
a little
progressively gets
bit.
more crazy as the films get more convoluted.
I remember the
So I think that
evolution of the one in Zack Snyder's Justice League as it just keeps playing.
oh
I
yeah, it just
wonder.
keeps doing
I
that.
wonder if the sounds music supervisor like turned it up a little bit each time.
That's definitely it, man. Honestly, like
Maybe
yeah, it's
that's it.
probably
Just louder
yeah.
every time. Um, yeah, no, I think it's definitely one of this movie's finer achievements.
Oh yeah.
And I think
At
it
the same
definitely does.
time, well,
What? Yeah,
at
go
the
ahead,
same
Daniel.
time, yeah. So at the same time, now that it's how old it is now, like 40 years down the road, it's it runs too slowly for a 2021 audience.
Yeah.
It's you have to know the nuances. It's expected that it's a British audience who's watching this film, not necessarily a North American audience, and so it's slower speed. You have to know some of the nuances, and that only like a history teacher like me in Canada would pick up on. Is like What are they talking about? Why are we talking about the Sabbath? What's the Sabbath? The nuances of Christianity in there. Not so much the nuances of anti-Semitism. That's a whole other
Mm.
kettle of
Yeah.
fish. The idea of this is 1919, is right after the war. These are the ones who survived the war, or these are the ones who were lucky enough to be young enough to not have to fight in the war. And
Hmm.
now they hold that uh, up to standards that these guys could not are not able to achieve. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it can run very. I remember it is much slower film. That it's not as action packed. It's
Yeah.
clearly not an MCU film.
I do think, yeah, it's definitely a slower paced film. I do
Yeah.
think one of the more weaker things about this film, personally, is that I don't think it gets any of those themes. I don't think it develops any of them truly, like, in full. I think easily the best one is the one, the Christianity and him abiding by his beliefs. Even though I do think it doesn't go, it's like pretty simple. I don't think it goes into too many intricacies in that regard. I do think there's other films that go into that idea much better, but especially for like the setting of the film, it works. And like they do present, like they have, I remember that one moment where they have like the two people who are supposed to be like war veterans looking at Abrams and Liddell, being like, oh, these are the men that we, these are the shivs that we, like, fought for, kind of thing. And it's like those ideas, while they're presented, aren't really fully developed. And I do think this film might have been better, honestly, if they only focused on one of the characters necessarily. Because as you said, Dad, you mentioned while we were watching it that this rivalry that they sort of made in the movie was pretty much made up, right? For the most
Correct.
part, because they never really ran against each other in any major races. So I do
Yeah,
think if this film was more about,
they knew
like,
each other as rivals potentially, but they
yeah,
never fought against each other.
so
There
I
was
think
no.
it was more about like how Liddell with his religion felt and like his position of like being one of the being one of the young people to avoid the war, or Ben Cross with a more like in depth thing into like anti-Semitism and the more like I do think like in the in the way the characters like sort of relate with each other. I do think it would have been better if it was like one of them was very much clearly the lead, kind of like um I hate him. Like sort of like how I don't know if this is a perfect good or even a good comparison at all. It's like how Mark Zuckerberg's clearly the like Jesse Eisenberg's clearly the lead of his character, while clearly also Eduardo's going through a character arc and going through things with him as well. But it's also clear that like one of them's the lead. I think this movie probably should have done that to try to develop the character and the themes and issues going around that character more. Um, and again, I think it is slow. It's definitely a slower film. And I do think, as
And
far as like the audience, like for anyone watching today, film people even, it's like a lot of the intricacies won't be appreciated because that's not what they really care about in a film
Yeah. I
for the
mean,
most
yeah,
part.
it's definitely something to remember. I mean, like, yeah, like films back then were paced a lot differently. I mean, like even like some of the action films back then were moved pretty slow. I don't know what was I don't know what really changed in filmmaking. I guess like somewhere along the line, everything just got a lot faster. Yeah, no, because I rewatched what's it called? Even Lethal Weapon, which was like late '80s, was kind of paced a little bit slow as well. So and like a comedy like Beverly Hills Cop is also kind of paced a little bit slowly as well. So I don't think it's just limited to a film like this.
For
It's just
sure.
more a product of its
Yeah,
time.
I definitely think one of the things is that especially with like the with our generation, I think it's especially like having content ingested much faster. I think that's kind of been something. It's like no one wants to like go to theater see a 3 hour movie because that feels like your entire day. While you want an experience, you don't want something like Avengers Endgame all the time. You'd rather
Yeah.
have your other Marvel movies most of the time, and then of course you have that one special event in the
Yeah,
Avengers
of
Endgame,
course. Yeah.
and then of course you want like most of your other movies to be about like 2 hours. You don't like, and also it's just like every time like most media's like things like TikTok and Vine are very much proof that like people like are going for content in like smaller paces, even though there's
Yeah.
like a lot of things I appreciate about like you in like YouTube videos that are longer, but like just the fact that like even Netflix now is putting up little segments of like comedy movies and specials and shows into a
Yeah.
section on mobile shows that like they're just trying to get people doing just content faster. And I think obviously this movie shows a time where it was a little bit slower, but it's clearly gotten much faster up to now. Same with YouTube, how
Oh,
they
yeah.
put in that shorts thing. But anyways, as far as
Should we get into a
yeah, I think we
score, or
can
do
get
you have
into a
anything else you want
score
to say
or
about
do
it quickly?
anything.
Any of
Yeah,
you guys? Or
Dad, do you have anything final say before we get into scores?
No, I don't think so. Other than slow pace of the movie, sort of like you running, Daniel, compared to me. Yeah,
uh, nice. That was funny. He's not happy. Look at him. He doesn't know what to say.
You know that meme of the smiling mask and then the guy crying behind?
Yes.
That's me
Yeah.
right now. But anyways, as far as the score, Dad, what do you want to give it?
if it's 1981, it's probably a 9 out of 10. 2021, because maybe the slowness of it, I'd probably go down to 8.
All right,
That's
Aiden,
fair.
what would you give this film?
Ooh, it's a tricky one. I might just go a little bit lower. I might give it a 7.5. To be honest,
Okay.
that's not too much of a difference. I still like it. I thought it still was a pretty great sports movie, but yeah, just it was a bit too slow for me in some aspects. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that score kicked ass in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
So
I do
Yeah.
think the score overall, while it's good, I do think the Social Network one is superior in every single
Okay,
way.
look, we get it. We know we.
Yeah, I like the
I love
social-
this movie
I
too,
like the
alright? But
Social
let's just. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
but and it's like nothing is like truly like nothing is like aged to the point where it's like truly stand out other than that one song, and it's like there's nothing a ton that I want to dock this film for, but it also doesn't do a ton that like I truly appreciate, which is why I'm only giving it a 6 out of 10. Yeah.
Ooh. Well, he is the harsh one on our page, so yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
His head's not back yet.
All right. Yeah. So now that we've finished talking about the film, again, I think time to wrap up.
Yep.
I do think. I don't know. Do you have any quick recommendations though, Aiden, from the past few days or not? So I don't think I do. Do I?
Well,
I do not.
I
do
let's see.
actually. I have one.
Okay. Well, I have one as well. I have two, I guess. Me and my brother, we started rewatching the Dark Knight trilogy together because we both love those movies, and we just love quoting all the lines before they say them. It's like kind of our thing now.
Okay.
Because we've both seen the movies so many times, we just kind of know like most of the lines back to front. So it's just fun doing that with him. So yeah, no. Please, if you haven't seen those movies yet, which is weird because they've been out forever, go watch them now. Like most of them are on Netflix, except for The Dark Knight Rises for some reason. But
Forever
that's just the way it is.
Forever is 2005, ladies and gentlemen. Aiden
Yeah.
2021. Yeah. My recommendation is Weathering with You, a film by the director of Your Name. I don't know if you've heard of that film before.
No.
Makoto Shinkai. It's a pretty good film. It had voice performances from Alison Brie and Riz Ahmed in the English dub, which I watched. I normally don't do the English dub, but this felt like a film that's like, it'll work.
Why
They
not?
have good actors doing it. It'll probably is like a lot of the times the translation doesn't like do well with the performances. This one was solid. And that's what I feel about the film overall. It's solid. There's the animation's really well done. There's some interesting ideas. It's pretty cliche, kind of simple in a lot of ways, but there's some good character moments. It's like, I think it's kind of like Luca. I think his quality of writing and sort of the animation. It's like the world's very well done and realized. There's stuff animated in this film that would never be done. It's like things, just like simple things like McDonald's and like other things like that,
Yeah.
and just like the city of Tokyo. Just like how much realism there is in this film. It's kind of like Soul, but it's like even more brands and like more digitalization than something like Soul, as far as trying to show a realistic aspect. But it's a solid film. Yeah. All right. I think again, I'd like to thank you, Dad, for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's
Not
been
getting
a
a
blast.
recommendation?
Oh,
I'm
sure.
not gonna get
Of course.
Oh, he does. Oh, please tell us. What is it?
Well, if you want to compare, track and field films and then find another Olympic champion, then you compare Chariots of Fire with Race, and then 21st century version of Olympic champion story versus a 20th century version.
Okay.
You can go that way as a comparison.
Mhm.
And I've learned from this podcast that, where everybody accuses me of everything comes back to hockey or sports. Daniel, everything comes back to the Social Network in movies.
It's all about the social network. It's everywhere. Even if you
And if
don't
you were
want
more
it.
social, I would really believe that.
Ah! This has turned into a roast session, ladies and gentlemen. That should net us some views. Solid.
All right.
All right. Yeah, it was Father's Day. Like it was Father's
Yeah,
Day yesterday.
yesterday.
You got to be nice to him. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
we had him.
He can roast me later.
He's never coming back on. I'm joking. But yeah, but the social network is everywhere because Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook.
Yeah, and he's also probably listening to this conversation too. So yeah.
He sucks everything. I got
Sorry.
it. All right.
Both sides of Daniel are watching him. Yep. Zuckerberg on the European side and the Chinese Communist Party on the Asian side.
TikTok.
Yep. There you go.
Beware of TikTok. Anyways, yeah, I think we'll figure out what we're gonna do for our next episode later. But I think I'll just go ahead and wrap up. Again, thank you, Dad, for being on the podcast. Yeah, make sure to go watch any of the films that we've recommended or watched today. Form your own opinions about them. And yeah, I think we'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys.
Bye bye.